Hello and welcome back. And in this video, we're going to be talking about gradients. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at in next few videos, we're going to look at some of the gradients, different type of gradients applied, and we'll also try to put some animation to see how those gradient values change. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started with Angular gradient. So I'm going to basically first create some variables. So let's create a gradient. Let's create state variable. So what we're going to do basically is we're going to use this center value to change our gradient center. And we're going to create an array that's going to contain all the unit points so we can animate it over time. Okay, so that's what we are creating. So it'll show you not only the gradient, but how you can actually apply the animation on the gradient to sort of like, give it an extra flair. Okay. All right, so let's create an array unit point array, and this is going to be containing unit points. So unit point dot, and we can start with bottom, and then we can simply say bottom leading, trailing, center. All right, so those are all the values, and we can also store some degrees. So one 180, 225, 270, 315, and 360. Okay. All right. Now we can put our initializer. So init, and we're going to initialize our gradient first. We're going to say gradient, gradient, one more time, with capital G. Come on. Okay. Open bracket. It takes colors, so we're going to give it colors. So color dot green and blue. Okay, and then we're gonna give our center value an initial value. So this is how you can give your state variable initial value. We have seen it in password, but I just want to reiterate it. So you can say initial value, and initial value could be like the type. So you can say unit point dot bottom is actually the initial value for our center, where our gradient center is going to be. And for degree, we're going to simply say state with initial value to be 0. Okay, so that's going to initialize all of our variables that have not been initialized, and then we can actually go ahead and create our image. So we're going to say DT logo, resizable, let's give it a frame, 200, 200. Oh, in this case, actually, let's create a circle. Okay. We're going to actually provide the circle with different gradient color, right? So we're going to say circle, and we're going to have dot fill. And this fill will have angular gradient. Okay, so okay, angular gradient, and this takes gradient and center and the angle. Okay, so we're going to use that. So we're going to say gradient is the gradient that we have passed, and center is basically whatever in the center value, and angle is basically the angle that's stored in the degree. So let's say degree, like that. And there we go. We have the frame now, and we can actually also give it animation, and we're going to say animation dot ease in out. I know we haven't covered animation yet, but we will pretty soon. Animations are pretty easy in SwiftUI, so I just wanted to introduce the concept before we actually run into them, really, because you actually at least get to use it and see it in real life before we actually start applying those. I mean, before we start learning more about them. But like, they're rather easy to use and rather fun to use. So on appear is an event whenever view appears, so we can actually change the center value, and we're going to say self dot unit point array, and take the count, mod it with self dot unit point array dot count. Okay, so it's going to keep our this value is going to keep it within the index that's actually between this range of the values that are available within unit point array. And we're going to do the same thing for degree. So self dot degree self dot. So we're going to have to actually convert it into double first, and self dot degrees, right? And we can actually say self dot count mod self dot degrees dot count. Okay, and don't forget to increment the count value by 1. And then we also can say, well, what's that? Degrees. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what we've got so far. So I'm going to open the canvas, and we're going to resume. And what we should see, basically, a gradient applied. So I just want to show you how the gradient is applied once it compiles. Okay. So I don't know if you can notice, but there's a slight gradient that's applied here. So if I change this initial value of bottom to center, you're going to notice the difference. So as soon as it compiles, you're going to see basically the gradient being applied. We need to actually change the angle as well. And we can rather actually make it animate, that way you can see it. So there we go. So as you can see, this is how your angle and basically the variation of different unit points apply and give different effect to your angular gradient. Now, if you just wanted to, like, have a simple gradient, then you can totally, like, provide this value as a static value. So you say, like, I just want top and no angle, whatever, sort of like that, and that should actually be suffice. But I just want to show you, like, how you can apply the animation as well to see different values vary, like, throughout the course. Now, you can take this and you can even apply on the stroke. So you can say that I want to create a stroke, like, the border for circle, and I want to give it a angular gradient with gradient value as the gradient that we have computed, with the center as, for example, top. Okay, and I want to give line width to be 40, for example. So now if you notice that we have this gradient applied at the top, if you say at the center, then it splits your sort of this view in the half, and then you can actually make this like 200 to make it a full circle, sort of like that, or like 100, kind of like that for a better view. And you can actually change this value to, for example, top leading. So it's going to be applied on the top of leading, right? And once again, you can use these variables that we have created to animate your values and see, like, how the animation applies to this. So for example, you could have very easily chosen center well, and you can simply say, okay, I want to see how this animation changes and how it looks on a different view, right? And for degree, we are not using it all, so you can actually see how it's going to look between these values varying. Okay, all right. So yeah, so this is it for this video. Seeing how to apply the gradient, but slightly complex example because, like, you can do various different things with the gradients itself. Okay, so hope you guys liked this video, and thanks for watching. I will see you guys in next video. Thank you.